In this session, we're going to look at setting up a costing for our cart. At the moment, we can select the items and we can increment the counters, but we need somewhere on the screen to actually have our total. So let's go and set that up now. So once again, we need to actually put a text box back out the stage. I'm going to place it down the bottom at the moment. You can set your stage up how you'd like to have it. Once again, we're going to use the same information, but it's going to put txt total cart. So this will be the total cost of our cart. So once again, we need to do some initialization of this because we're going to need some variables that we need to track the information with. So to start with, we need to actually set up a variable. So we're going to go var n total cart, and that's going to be a number. We need to initialize that as well. So when we first start the program, so we have n total cart is equal to 0, and also we want to output that information on the screen that the total cart is 0 to start with. So once again, total cart dot text is equal to n total cart dot toString. So you now start noticing as we set our interface up, there's a few things we have to do to get going. So now that's set to 0. If we wanted to, we can actually change the output, and we can actually put a bracket in here and maybe put a $sign at the start. So we have a $sign, and I'll put a space after the $sign, plus that information. We can concatenate that, and we now should have a $sign before the 0. So what I want to do now is, as that goes across the cost of the sock, I want this to increment. So to do that, I've got to set some new variables. These are actually going to be called constants, because we can actually set up an initialization underneath our variables. We can then set up our constants. So this is going to be a new area. So our constants are going to be things such as, I need to declare the variable first, var n sock price. It's going to be a number, and then we're going to do this for all of them. So var n rugby price. Now this information later could be fed in from a database, or it could actually be read in from a file. So we could actually save some time by reading that into the computer, or it could actually be updated from another website. So these are going to be our new prices. So what we want to do is set them in the constants area so we can actually change these at any time. So I'm just going to copy these down like they are at the moment, just to cut down on some typing. And the good thing about them is I can go, it's equal to, and we can set, say, the socks to $5. We might actually set the rugby top, sorry about that, we'll set the rugby top to something like $10, or say $15, and we'll set the t-shirt price to $10. I always like to start with round numbers because they're easier to manage. And these are constants, so we know where they are and we can change them at any time if we need them. So we could display those on stage if you wish, but I'm not going to do that in this project. So what we now have is some constants. So we can move to the next step of the program now. When this comes across in increments, we can actually increment up the global variable for the cost of the basket and display that in the basket. Now to do that, so we need to take total cart. So n total cart has to occur at the collision time. So when we're checking for our collision and we're actually updating the stock and things like that, that's the best time to actually increment this variable. So n total cart is equal to, so in our case I'm going to use plus equal to its original number because we've already set it to 0, plus the cost of the socks. And if I use the constant n sock price, if the sock price ever changes, we only have to change it in one area. We don't have to come down and change it in the code. So it speeds up the process. Now once we've done that, we also now need to update the total cart text box. So I can actually copy this out now and paste that into the same spot, but rather than have that repeated 3 times, what I'm going to do is after it's done the collision test, it's then going to display it. So now I'm only using 1 line of code rather than having that 3 sets of lines of code. So I've actually reduced the amount of duplication of lines of code. So once that's happened, I can then copy and paste this down, these ones here. So I can do the next one. So rather than N sock price, this will be N shirt price. And once again, in here, this will be rugby. Now I probably wanted to check that after the shirt price, but we've got a little spelling error there, so we'll just double click that and we go in. It was saying that N rugby price. So N rugby price is declared rugby price, N rugby price, so it must be down in here, rugby price. So let's run that now. We still have the error. So we just got to check why N rugby price isn't carried down. So when we look back up here, we've got pros. So now hopefully that has errored out. No, we've still got a consistent error through. So we need to go back up here and change this one. Because of my copying and pasting, one error travels all the way through your code. So now that's just fixed. So when I add a sock, it's incremented that to 1 and that to 5. Now the rugby top was 15, so it's gone to 20. This is $10, so it's now 30. So as I add them to the cart, oh, I just hid that. We'll just run the program again. As I add, say, 2 of these, you notice it's $30. If I add 2 of these, it should add another $20 to the cart. So this is now incrementing correctly. What we'll look at in the next video is how to actually to remove an object, and also we may want to actually have a look at how to clear the actual basket.